The bustling trade station orbiting Varnes served as a crossroads for species and merchants from across the galaxy. Neon signs flickered in a multitude of alien scripts, and the air buzzed with the cacophony of a dozen languages. Amid the crowd, Jack maneuvered with the ease of someone well acquainted with the chaos. He was tall and broad-shouldered, his light brown hair cropped close to his head, giving him a no-nonsense look that was softened by the easy smile he often wore. Jack paused at a vendor stall to inspect some gadgets when a sudden commotion caught his attention. A cluster of beings had gathered around a new arrival, Mira, whose slender, iridescent form glimmered under the station's artificial lights. Her species was rare in these parts, known for their isolationist tendencies and unique cultural expressions. Her eyes, large and luminous, scanned her surroundings with a mix of curiosity and confusion. "Need some help there?" Jack called out, his voice carrying over the hubbub. Mira turned towards the sound, her eyes settling on Jack. "I might," she replied, her voice melodic, with an unfamiliar accent that hinted at her alien origins. "This place is unlike anything I've seen." Jack chuckled. "It can be overwhelming the first time." "Name's Jack. I come here often for business. Can I show you around?" "Thank you, Jack. I'm Mira. I'm here to learn about trade, among other things." As they walked, Myra's fascination with the station was evident. She asked questions about everything from the goods being sold to the species that frequented the stalls. Jack found her inquisitiveness refreshing. It reminded him why he loved the diverse culture of the space station. "Is it always this crowded?" Mira asked, gazing around at the swirling mass of creatures. "Pretty much," Jack replied. "It's a melting pot. You get used to the chaos." They stopped at a food vendor, where Jack ordered 2 dishes, one human, one suitable for Myra's dietary restrictions. As they ate, Jack explained the basics of human cuisine, describing spices and cooking methods. Mira listened intently, then shared about her planet's dining customs, describing how her people use bioluminescence in their cooking, which added not just flavor, but visual spectacle to their meals. "How fascinating!" Jack exclaimed. "Eating is just eating for most of us. It sounds like you turn every meal into an event." "It is," Mira agreed. "It's about sharing more than just food. It's about sharing experiences." Their conversation drifted to other topics: technology, philosophy, the arts. Mira was particularly interested in human art forms, noting how they seemed to convey emotions differently than those of her people. "Do you create art?" Jack asked as they resumed their walk. "I do," Mira replied. "In my world, everyone is an artist in some way. It's how we express our understanding of the universe." "I'd love to see some of your work sometime," Jack said genuinely. Mira smiled. "And I would be honored to show you." As the station's day cycle began to dim, they found themselves at an observation window, looking out at the vastness of space. The stars seemed to underscore the serenity of their shared silence, a stark contrast to the station's usual din. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Jack murmured. "It is," Mira agreed. "Different from home, but beautiful." Their first meeting closed with an agreement to meet again. Jack would show Mira more of the station, and perhaps she would share more of her world with him. As they parted ways, the possibility of friendship, or perhaps something deeper, lingered in the air, a testament to the unexpected connections that could be found even in the galaxy's busiest crossroads. Inside a small eatery nestled in one of the quieter sectors of the bustling trade station, Jack and Mira sat across from each other at a simple table. The scent of exotic spices mingled in the air as dishes from various cultures were served to the diverse clientele around them. Jack had suggested this particular spot, known for its accommodating menu for all species and its less hectic atmosphere. "So, what do you think of the food?" Jack asked, observing Mira as she carefully tasted a dish designed to accommodate her unique dietary needs. "It's intriguing," Mira responded, her face bright with curiosity. "The flavors are complex. It's quite different from our cuisine, but I find it pleasant." Jack smiled and took a bite of his own meal. "I guess food's a good starting point for understanding each other's cultures." As they ate, another human joined them, pulling up a chair with a friendly nod. "Jack, not hiding from us in the far corners, are you?" The man was stocky, with a grin that lit up his rugged features. "Not at all, Tom," Jack replied, introducing him to Mira. "Tom here is a fellow trader, deals in rare minerals. Tom, this is Mira. She's new to the station, exploring trade opportunities for her people. Pleased to meet you," Tom said, extending a hand, then quickly pulling back, remembering the etiquette briefings about non-human interactions. "Oh, sorry about that. Not sure about your customs." Mira laughed lightly, waving off his concern. "It's quite all right, Tom. I'm learning yours as well. Handshakes are fine. I've come to understand." Tom chuckled, visibly relieved. "Good to know. So, Mira, what brings your people out here finally? Heard a lot about how secluded you guys are. Our leadership has realized the importance of learning and sharing with others," Mira explained. "Isolation can only take us so far. We're here to learn, exchange ideas, and maybe make a few deals." "That's the spirit," Tom replied enthusiastically. "The more the merrier out here in the stars. Right, Jack?" "Exactly," Jack agreed. "Speaking of learning, Mira was just telling me about her planet's cuisine. They use bioluminescence in their food. Sounds like a dinner and a show." Tom's eyes widened with interest. "Now that's something you don't hear every day. Any chance we could sample that sometime?" "I'd like that," Mira said, smiling warmly. "Perhaps, once I return, I can bring some examples. It's truly a unique experience." The conversation shifted as Tom and Jack began to share stories of their own trading adventures, giving Mira insights into the less official aspects of life on the station. They talked about everything from navigating customs from dozens of planetary systems to dealing with the peculiarities of less-than-honest traders. Mira listened intently, absorbing every detail. "It seems like a challenging life being a trader here." "It has its moments," Jack admitted. "But it's rewarding too. Every day's a new adventure, a new puzzle to solve. And it helps having good people around," Tom added, clapping Jack on the back. As the meal wound down, Jack and Tom shared more about the social dynamics of the station. Myra's understanding of the station's cultural mosaic deepened, her initial apprehensions giving way to a budding sense of belonging. "Thank you for sharing this meal and your stories with me," Mira said as they prepared to leave. "Anytime," Jack responded. "Let's do this again soon. There's a lot more to see, and I'd be happy to show you around." "I would like that very much," Mira replied, her earlier reservations replaced by anticipation for her next encounter with the station's vibrant life. Tom waved goodbye, leaving Jack and Mira at the entrance of the eatery. As they stepped back into the flow of the station's corridors, the connections being forged seemed to promise not just potential business partnerships, but the beginning of new friendships. Jack led Mira through a series of narrow corridors, each one bustling with traders and visitors from across the galaxy. Their destination was a popular spot among the station's residents, a multi-species entertainment lounge known for its vast array of digital media from hundreds of planets. "This place is like a cultural library," Jack explained as they entered the dimly lit lounge filled with screens and holograms. "You can find anything from vintage Earth cinema to the latest extraterrestrial virtual experiences." Myra's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she surveyed the room, her gaze lingering on a group engaged in what appeared to be a highly immersive game. "It's fascinating," she said. "On my planet, entertainment is mostly live. We rarely use digital means. Let's find something mild to start with," Jack suggested, guiding her to a private viewing booth. He browsed the selections, looking for something that wouldn't be too jarring for her first foray into human entertainment. "Here we go," Jack said, selecting a classic Earth film he thought would be gentle enough. "It's a romantic comedy. Light, funny, and it shows some of our social customs." As the movie started, Mira watched intently, occasionally asking Jack to explain phrases and gestures that were unfamiliar to her. Her questions were perceptive, and Jack found himself enjoying the chance to see his own culture through her eyes. "Why does she keep misunderstanding him?" Mira asked, puzzled by the film's comedic miscommunications. "It's part of the humor," Jack explained. "Misunderstandings and unexpected situations are common themes in our comedies." Mira nodded, though she seemed to be mulling over more than just the plot. As the movie continued, She became particularly interested in the interactions between the characters, especially the displays of affection. "Is this how humans usually express interest in each other?" she inquired, her tone thoughtful. Jack chuckled. "Sometimes, yes, but it's exaggerated for entertainment. Real life is usually less chaotic." The movie ended, and they stepped out of the booth. "Did you enjoy it?" Jack asked. "It was intriguing," Mira replied, "but very different from our expressions of affection." As they walked away from the lounge, Mira continued to think about what she had seen. "On my world, affection is more direct, less hidden behind words," she explained. "We express it through art and dance, not so much through conversation." "That's really interesting," Jack said. "It must make misunderstandings less common." "Perhaps," Mira said, a slight smile on her face. "Though I can see the appeal in your ways, too. It leaves room for—" "What did you call it?" "Flirting." "Yeah, flirting," Jack laughed. "It's an art form in itself." Their conversation was interrupted by another human, a friend of Jack's, who approached with a warm grin. "Jack, who's your friend?" "This is Mira," Jack introduced. "Mira, meet Mike. He's a historian here on the station, specializes in intercultural relations." "Pleased to meet you, Mira," Mike said, offering a handshake which Mira now accepted comfortably. "A historian? I would love to learn more about your work," she said. "Of course," Mike responded, clearly delighted. "History isn't just about the past. It's about understanding how cultures evolve and interact. Maybe I can show you some archives and artifacts sometime." "I'd like that very much," Mira said, her enthusiasm clear. The trio chatted a bit longer, discussing potential opportunities for Mira to learn more about human culture and other alien societies. As they parted ways, Jack and Mira agreed to meet again the next day. "Thank you for today," Mira said genuinely. "I'm learning more than I imagined I would." "Same here," Jack admitted. "It's not every day you get to see your culture through someone else's eyes. Makes you appreciate it more." As they said their goodbyes, Mira felt a growing excitement about her journey on the station, eager to dive deeper into the complex tapestry of cultures that surrounded her. After their insightful venture into human entertainment, Jack decided to introduce Mira to another aspect of human culture at the station's renowned simulation center. This facility offered experiences ranging from deep-sea dives on Earth to sand surfing on distant desert planets. "Today's going to be a bit different," Jack explained as they approached the sleek, modern building. "These simulations can feel pretty real, so it's a fun way to experience things that are otherwise impossible due to distance or safety." Mira looked excited. "What are we trying today?" "I thought we'd start with something mild. How about a hot air balloon ride over the Italian Alps?" Jack suggested, knowing it combined breathtaking views with serene motion, ideal for a newcomer to simulations. "That sounds wonderful," Mira replied, her voice tinged with anticipation. Inside, they were greeted by another of Jack's acquaintances, a man named Carl, who managed the simulation setups. "Jack, good to see you," bringing someone new to the thrill of Earth's wonders. "Exactly," Jack said. "Carl, meet Mira." "Mira, Carl's the best sim operator we have." "Pleasure to meet you, Mira. Ready for an adventure?" Carl's grin was infectious, and his easy demeanor helped Mira feel at ease. "Very much so," she responded, smiling back. Carl led them to a private simulation room, explaining the controls and safety protocols. "You'll be fully immersed visually and sensorily, but you can exit any time you feel uncomfortable." As the simulation began, Mira and Jack found themselves standing in a virtual basket, rising slowly above an intricately detailed landscape of snow-capped mountains and green valleys. The realism was astonishing. Cool wind blew gently, and the scent of alpine flowers wafted around them. "This is incredible," Mira breathed out, looking around in awe. "It's one of my favorites," Jack admitted. "Shows how peaceful Earth can be." As they floated higher, Mira seemed to ponder something deeply. Eventually, she spoke. "Jack, the movie we watched, the way those humans interacted, was it truly typical?" Jack considered her question. "It's a bit over the top for the sake of humor, but yes, flirting and subtle cues are part of human romance." "Why do you ask?" "I'm trying to understand the nuances," Mira replied. "Your customs are complex, layered. On my world, we are more direct. If I were to express interest in someone, I would simply say it. Jack chuckled. That directness might be refreshing, but here it's all about the chase, the dance of hints and gestures. Mira nodded thoughtfully, then, with a hint of mischief in her voice, asked, "So, if I were trying to seduce someone here, what should I do?" Caught slightly off guard, Jack laughed. "Well, you're full of surprises. I suppose you'd start with conversation, find common interests, throw in a compliment or two, maybe a touch on the arm. Like this?" Mira reached out, placing her hand lightly on Jack's arm, watching his reaction closely. "Yes, something like that," Jack responded, his voice slightly warmer. "Then you gauge the reaction. If it's welcomed, you continue. If not, you back off." "I see," Mira said, removing her hand but keeping her eyes on him. "And if the interest is mutual, then it might lead to more dates, more time spent together, maybe even a relationship," Jack explained, finding himself more intrigued by Myra's curiosity about human interactions. As the simulation ended and they returned to the reality of the station, Mira seemed deep in thought. Jack, sensing her contemplation, suggested they grab a drink to unwind. At the lounge, over 2 glasses of a mild, fruity beverage suitable for both of their physiologies, Mira leaned in, her tone playful yet sincere. "Jack, thank you for today. I think I understand your people a little better now, and I hope to understand yours more, too," Jack replied, realizing that their cultural exchange was becoming a journey of mutual discovery. Their day ended with a promise to explore more simulations and perhaps more of each other's worlds, both metaphorically and literally. As they parted, the idea of seduction, once merely a topic of conversation, lingered in the air, hinting at possibilities yet to unfold between them. After their insightful simulation experience, Jack decided to take the cultural exchange a step further. He invited Mira to join him and a couple of his friends for an evening of typical human recreational activities. This time, they would visit the station's recreational module, which offered everything from sports simulations to live music performances. As they walked toward the module, Jack explained, "Tonight, we're doing something a little more interactive. We're going to try some basic human sports, maybe some dancing. It's all about movement and feeling the rhythm." Mira nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I'm not sure how well I'll manage human dances," she confessed. "Our dances are quite different." "Don't worry," Jack reassured her with a smile. "It's all in good fun. And who knows? You might teach us a few moves from your world." They were met at the entrance by 2 of Jack's friends, Dan and Lucas, both avid participants in the module's activities. "Hey, Jack, who's this?" Dan asked, giving Jack a friendly pat on the shoulder. "This is Mira. She's interested in learning about human recreational activities," Jack introduced her. "Fantastic. We're just about to start a game of virtual bowling. Ever tried it?" Lucas chimed in, offering Mira a warm handshake. "No, I haven't," Mira responded, her tone curious. "But I'm eager to learn." The group moved to the virtual bowling alley, where Dan and Lucas demonstrated how to select a ball and roll it toward the digital pins displayed at the end of the lane. Mira watched intently, then took her turn. Her first attempt was awkward, resulting in a humorous gutter ball, but her subsequent tries showed rapid improvement. "Looks like you're getting the hang of it," Lucas commented, clapping his hands in encouragement. Mira laughed, enjoying the challenge. "It's quite satisfying, the feeling of the ball rolling and hitting the pins." Next, they moved to the dance area, where soft, rhythmic music filled the air. Jack led the group onto the dance floor, demonstrating some basic steps. "It's all about the beat and letting yourself flow with the music," he explained. As the music picked up, Mira tried to mimic the steps, occasionally missing the beat, but gradually moving more in sync with the rhythm. Jack stayed by her side, guiding her gently. "You're doing great," Jack encouraged, as they swayed to the music. "Feel the music more than thinking about it." Mira smiled, her earlier hesitation fading as she began to move with more confidence. "In my culture, dance is more about storytelling. Each movement has a meaning." "That's beautiful," Dan said, having joined them on the dance floor. "Maybe you can show us some of your dances?" With a nod, Mira stepped to the center of the floor, the music changing to something slower, more melodic at her request. She began a graceful, flowing dance, her movements telling a story that, while unfamiliar to her human companions, was clearly expressive and full of emotion. The humans watched, captivated by her performance. The room filled with applause when she finished. "That was amazing," Lucas said, genuinely impressed. "It's like nothing I've ever seen." Myra's cheeks colored slightly with pride. "Thank you for letting me share that with you." As the evening wound down, Jack, Dan, and Lucas thanked Mira for sharing her culture with them. They agreed to meet again soon, eager to exchange more experiences and deepen their understanding of each other's worlds. Walking back to her quarters, Mira felt a newfound appreciation for human activities and a deeper connection to Jack and his friends. She was beginning to see that, while their worlds were different, the joy of sharing and learning was a universal language. After a night of shared cultures and laughter, Mira found herself alone in her quarters, the silence a stark contrast to the lively music and friendly voices that had filled her evening. She sat by the window, staring out at the vast expanse of space, reflecting on her recent interactions with Jack and his friends. The station slowly orbited a gas giant, its swirling storms casting a mesmerizing glow that illuminated her room in soft, shifting colors. As she mulled over her experiences, her communicator beeped softly. It was a message from Jack, asking if she had enjoyed the evening and hinting at another gathering soon. Mira smiled, typing a quick response to affirm her enjoyment and anticipation for future events. Just as she sent her reply, there was a soft chime at her door. "Enter," she called, suspecting who it might be. Jack stepped in, holding 2 cups of what Mira had learned was called coffee, a popular human beverage. "Thought you might like to try something else from Earth," he said, handing her a cup. Mira accepted it, the rich aroma unfamiliar yet inviting. "Thank you, Jack. I've never tried coffee before." Jack grinned. "It's a bit of an acquired taste, but it's a staple for many of us." They sipped their drinks in comfortable silence for a moment before Jack spoke again. "You seemed deep in thought when I came in. Everything okay?" Mira nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I was just reflecting on everything I've learned and experienced so far. Your culture is fascinating, Jack, but I also realize how much I've misunderstood it initially." Jack leaned forward, interested. "Misunderstandings are part of learning. What's on your mind?" "It's about the other night, the movie and the discussions about relationships and seduction," Mira began, her voice hesitant. "I thought I understood what I was seeing and hearing, but I mixed up the cues and the context. I've been approaching this all wrong." Jack's expression softened. "It's okay, Mira. That's what interaction is all about, making mistakes and learning from them. Is there something specific you're concerned about?" Mira took a deep breath, her decision clear. "Yes, I try to emulate what I saw, thinking it was normal, how you showed interest in someone. I didn't consider how it might come across. I don't want to just mimic behavior. I want to understand it." Jack nodded, his respect for her honesty evident. "That's a very important distinction. Understanding comes with time and experience. And sometimes, direct conversation like this one." Mira smiled, relieved by his understanding. "In my culture, we're encouraged to be direct about our feelings and intentions. It seems more complex here." "It can be," Jack agreed. "But there's beauty in the complexity. It makes the connections we form richer, more rewarding. And if it helps, I think you're doing great at navigating all this." Encouraged by his words, Mira felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you, Jack. Your friendship means a lot to me. It's helping me bridge the gap between our worlds." Jack's smile was warm. "And I'm learning just as much from you. It's a two-way street, Mira. Let's keep that road open." As they continued to chat, the initial awkwardness faded, replaced by a deeper sense of camaraderie and understanding. They discussed more about human social dynamics, and Mira shared more about her people's ways of expressing affection and building relationships. When Jack eventually left, Mira felt more integrated into the station's life than ever before. She realized that every interaction, every shared experience was a step toward not just understanding a foreign culture, but also forming lasting bonds that transcended species and space. The station's observatory offered a panoramic view of the cosmos, its vast windows framing the endless dance of stars and planets. Jack had invited Mira here for a quiet evening, suggesting they spend some time just watching the stars, a human pastime that he found particularly relaxing and thought Mira might appreciate. As they settled into the comfortable chairs by the window, Jack handed Mira a pair of high-definition binoculars. These will give you a closer look at some of the constellations we can see from here. Mira accepted them, her eyes lighting up with interest. Thank you, Jack. I've always been fascinated by the stars. They spent the first part of their evening in a comfortable silence, each lost in the spectacle before them. After a while, Jack turned to Mira, noticing the reflective look on her face. "What are you thinking about?" he asked gently. Mira lowered the binoculars, her expression thoughtful. "I was just considering how different yet similar our cultures are. We look at the same stars, yet we see them so differently." "That's a beautiful way to put it," Jack said. "I guess it's the same with people. We're all different, but there's a lot we share under the surface." "Yes, exactly," Mira agreed. "And spending time with you and your friends, learning your customs, it's made me see the human side of things more clearly." Jack smiled, pleased. "I'm glad to hear that. And I've learned a lot from you, too. It's been eye-opening." Encouraged by the night's peaceful ambience, Mira felt a surge of confidence. "Jack, can I try something? I'd like to share a gesture from my culture with you. It's a sign of deep respect and closeness." "Of course," Jack replied, intrigued. Mira reached out and gently placed her hands on either side of Jack's face, her thumbs softly stroking his temples, a gesture of affection and trust among her people. Jack remained still, allowing her to share this part of her heritage with him. The touch was soft, almost electric, and conveyed a depth of sincerity. "How does this gesture make you feel?" Mira asked, her voice low and warm. "It's calming, comforting," Jack admitted, his own voice soft. "It makes me feel trusted, connected. That's how it's meant to feel," Mira said, slowly lowering her hands but maintaining eye contact. "I wanted you to experience that." Jack nodded, a new understanding dawning between them. "Thank you, Mira. That means a lot to me." Feeling a new level of intimacy had been established, Jack suggested, "Maybe you'd like to start learning some of our gestures too. Like this one." He took her hand, gently squeezed it, and then released it, a universal human sign of reassurance and warmth. Mira mirrored the action, squeezing his hand in return. "I like that," she said, smiling. Simple, yet expressive. As the evening progressed, they continued to exchange small, meaningful gestures and discuss their symbolic significances in each culture. It wasn't just an exchange of knowledge, but of personal meanings and emotions, forming a bridge of understanding and respect that had grown stronger with each shared experience. Before they knew it, hours had passed. The station cycle was bringing them closer to the simulated dawn. "It's getting late," Jack noted, although reluctant to end their meeting. "Should we head back?" Mira nodded, standing up with a satisfied sigh. "Yes, let's." "Tonight was wonderful, Jack. I feel like we've moved beyond just being friends who teach each other about their worlds." "I feel the same," Jack agreed, smiling as they walked back to the habitat areas of the station. "Let's keep this going. I think we're on to something good here." "Yes, we definitely are," Mira replied, her voice full of hope and anticipation for the future. As they parted ways for the night, the connection they'd fostered felt deeper than the vastness of space surrounding them, a testament to the power of cultural exchange and personal openness. The observation deck of the trade station offered a spectacular view of the rising sun against the backdrop of the distant galaxies. It was here that Jack and Mira had agreed to meet early in the morning to witness one of the most serene scenes in space, a sunrise from the station, symbolizing new beginnings and endless possibilities. As Mira approached, she saw Jack already waiting, his gaze fixed on the horizon where the first hints of light began to emerge. He turned and smiled as he heard her approach. "Good morning, Mira. I thought this would be a perfect place to meet today," Jack said, gesturing toward the slowly brightening horizon. "It's beautiful," Mira replied, joining him at the railing. "I've never seen anything quite like it." They stood in silence for a moment, watching as the light spread across the vast canvas of space, illuminating stars and distant planets. It was a peaceful, reflective time, and Mira took a deep breath, savoring the calm. "Jack, I've been thinking about everything we've experienced together, Mira began, her voice soft but clear. When I first tried to learn your customs, I thought seduction was just a playful human interaction. I realize now I misunderstood much about your culture. Jack listened intently, nodding for her to continue. It was my biggest mistake trying to mimic something I didn't fully understand. But it led me to a deeper understanding, not just of your culture, but of you, Mira continued, her eyes meeting his. And I'm grateful for that. Jack smiled warmly, his eyes reflecting the light of the new sun. Mira, your curiosity and willingness to learn and share have taught me just as much. We've both made missteps along the way, but that's how we grow, isn't it? Yes, it is, Mira agreed. And it's made me realize how much more there is to explore, not just about each other's worlds, but about ourselves. Jack reached out, taking her hand in his. I was thinking the same. There's a lot more we can learn from each other. And I'm looking forward to every moment of it. Mira squeezed his hand, her face lighting up with a smile. So am I. And I think this, us, could be something quite special. They turned their gaze back to the horizon, where the sun had now fully risen, bathing the station in a warm, golden light. The moment felt like a symbol of their own new beginning. Let's make a promise, Jack suggested, his voice earnest. Let's promise to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making mistakes, because that's how we'll find the best parts of each other. Mira nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement and agreement. I promise. As they watched the day break fully, the early concerns and missteps seemed like distant memories, overshadowed by the potential of what was to come. They knew the journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but they also knew they would face them together, learning and growing with each new day. Here's to new beginnings, Jack said, raising an imaginary glass. To new beginnings, Mira echoed, her voice filled with hope and anticipation. As they left the observation deck, their steps were light, their conversation lively. They discussed plans, ideas for future meetings, and cultural exchanges they wanted to undertake. It was clear that what had started as a simple interaction had blossomed into a profound connection that promised to deepen with time. Jack and Mira continued to walk together, their path illuminated by the light of the rising sun, a fitting metaphor for their new journey. The station, with its myriad cultures and endless opportunities, seemed like the perfect place for such a bond to flourish. And as they moved forward, they did so with the understanding that every day was a chance to discover something wonderful, not just about the universe, but about each other.